Hello, my fellow seekers. Welcome to Into the Work, therapy for empaths, seekers, and the intuitively driven, where you have front row seats to therapy sessions and expert interviews that will help you define the important work that you're here to do. So I guess you actually have something better than front row seats. You practically have a seat on my couch. That's right, you will have unrestricted access to actual sessions with real people, exploring real life issues. You will continue to be inspired by powerful conversations with experts and healers that might just share exactly what it is that you need to hear to get unstuck. I am Michelle Pauverman. I am a recovering people pleaser and former anxiety-driven empath, turned now mostly grounded psychotherapist and intuitive coach. I have been helping people for almost 20 years manage their limiting beliefs and anxiety to finally stop the self-sabotage and step into their gifts. I created this podcast, Into the Work, to give you a place to learn more about yourself and give you actionable strategies to finally move those roadblocks holding you back so you can go for what you want. Above all else, my hope is that this podcast is a catalyst for your awakening. If you're listening, you've already taken a step towards getting off of autopilot, and our next steps together will be taken episode by episode, waking you up to the possibilities, the new ways of thinking and being, so that you can stretch into that next level of your story. The spark has already been lit, and my friend, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's light a fire. Hello, and welcome back to the show. Today we are talking with Caroline Thor, a professional organizer and KonMari consultant, helping busy women declutter and organize their homes so they can love the space that they're in. This is a super important conversation today because as sensitive humans, part of our energy management, part of our feeling good is being in environments that feel good. I don't know about you, but when my house is a mess, my anxiety goes way up. I am also a little ADD. So I'm super awesome at executing the things I'm really passionate about, but I lose focus on everything else when I'm focusing on that thing. And so for me, it's really hard to keep up with things and have consistency. So I'm really looking forward to talking with Carolyn today because I know she gets our extrasensory plight and what it takes to create habits that stick. Which I have to be honest, I'm still a little skeptical about getting this brain to keep up with anything or all the things really. So let's go ahead and get started. Carolyn, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today and coming on the show. It's so lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me as a guest. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. And I'll tell you that, Carolyn, I have a dream. And that is like seriously that I wake up in the morning every day, my house is clean. I know this is like perfectionism, so we'll get into that. But my extrasensory, spidey senses wakes up. I want to wake up to a house that feels good, right? So throughout the day, or when I come home from work and I've been gone all day, to come home to a house that feels like there's no clutter. The countertops are clear. Like I walk in and I don't feel overwhelmed or irritated at all the things. And I also want meals prepared and made for me, waiting for me, and so I don't have to cook. But I realize I have to choose my battles. So, so maybe we could get started. One of the things you mentioned also, I'll kind of drop that it's really important that we create a home that supports our lifestyle. And so maybe we could kind of drop that into my plate here. And I have kids, and I know you do too. So that always adds to things.
And all the things. Yeah, absolutely. No, I hear what you're saying. And this is something that I used to struggle with hugely. I was massively overwhelmed when my kids were little. I felt stressed the whole time. It stressed me to leave the house. It stressed me coming in because, as you say, you walk through the front door and you're just greeted with piles and you're just like, oh my goodness. I'd love to just come home to a home that looks like no one had been there all day, and it was just
I just want Pinterest home 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. And I did. I was feeling really overwhelmed. And I stumbled across, it was 10 years ago, I stumbled across the KonMari method. It was being mentioned in a magazine. I ordered the book. And Marie Kondo had written this book about the life-changing magic of tidying up. And because I was struggling so much, I thought, I'm going to give this a go. Applied the method in our home. It took me a year to get through the whole home with 3 little kids. And I just felt myself getting calmer and calmer. And the difference in me as a human was incredible, to the point that my 4-year-old, as we were leaving the house one day in what used to be a stressy mummy moment, turned around to me and said, "Why are you a nicer mummy now?" And I was like, wow, okay, there is something in this life-changing magic of tidying up. And I haven't looked back since. I had another business at the time, but when in 2020 with COVID, I saw that KonMari were advertising online trainings to become a consultant. I didn't even know it was a thing. I just thought it was just Marie out there. I jumped at the opportunity because I want to help other women feel like I do now. It doesn't have to be so hard. You don't have to be feeling anxious the whole time. What if someone calls round? I can't let them in the front. I used to stand across the door frame of the front door so that if someone calls round, they wouldn't go, "Can I come in for a cuppa?" Not happening. And then my parents, I mean, I live in Germany and I'm from the UK originally. So if they come to visit, it's like a week visit. And I used to tidy for a week before I could clean. And my idea of tidying at that point was just like grabbing things as I found them in piles and hiding them in drawers and cupboards. And we've all been there and done that when someone's coming. And then you forget where you put the stuff. We never find it again. So I totally get you. And it is hard when you have kids, especially when they're little. But you can really start to involve them, and it can become a sort of lifestyle for the whole family that really just means that everyone knows this environment is our responsibility. It's not mum's responsibility. We're all responsible for when we come in the door, making sure that our stuff goes back to where it came from. And that's the joy with the KonMari method, that one, you have visualized your ideal lifestyle at the start so that you really know how you want to feel in your home. What do you want to have time to do? We're always saying, I haven't got time to do the exercise, or I haven't got time to take up painting again, or I haven't got time for yoga. We do have time, but we're just spending so much time fighting fires elsewhere that we feel like we don't. And when your home is organized and you know what your vision for your life is, and your home is supporting in that, it's not a very expensive sort of place for storing stuff. It's become an environment that supports your ideal lifestyle, and you only have things in your home that you need and you love. It makes such a difference.
You know, one of the things that I have really been trying to implement, but I am running up against a massive force of energy in my home, which are called kids and husband. And my kids are teenagers. So had I done the work that you're talking about early on, would probably be in a different place. But I didn't really do that because I was the typical empath, overgiver, overdoer, doing too much for my kiddos. But I realize now my mistakes. But at the same time, I do have this theory that everything has to have a place it belongs. And if it doesn't have a place that it belongs, then we should get rid of it. But there are lots of things in my home that don't actually have any place that it belongs. So it's like there's all, and I don't know if that's part of what you do is also helping people with that. But in some way, I picked that up somewhere. And to me, that was just an incredible tip because I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Those of us shoving things in a drawer because we don't know where those things belong. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally get you. And the whole difference with the KonMari method from other forms of tidying is that we're decluttering and organizing and tidying by category, not by room. So when we've all done let's tidy the living room and we put stuff away, and within 24 hours, it looks like it did before. And you're thinking, why did I just spend my whole afternoon tidying? And the reason that it doesn't stay tidy is exactly what you said. When things don't have a definite place to go back to, then they just wander out again and no one really knows where they go. So they get dumped on the coffee table or on the side or on the stairs in the hope that someone's going to take it upstairs to their bedroom or whatever it happens to be. So when we declutter for a category, so let's say we're doing toys, you look at what toys are the kids using, what do they really love, where are they going to go back to? We're going to have a bin that's just for Lego. We're going to have a bin that's just for Playmobil or a bin that's just for Barbies. And let's forget overcomplicating things. And I won't mention any specific methods, but if you're going to organize everything by rainbow color and it's all got to go back according to rainbow color, your kids are going to lose the will to live with you. So let's make it easy. Let's just take out the stress of it all. Let's just be happy if they even put it away in a bin. That's great.
Right.
And so having a place for everything to go back to does make a difference. And everyone in my family knows this is where everything for wrapping gifts is stored. And there are also a pair of scissors and tape and all the ribbons, everything you would need for gift wrapping. So when my kids, who are the two eldest are also teenagers, if they need to wrap a gift for a friend, they go and get the stuff out, they wrap the gift. I would love to say they always put it back without being asked, but they don't. Not always. But if I say to them, don't forget the gift wrapping stuff needs to go back, they know where to put it. And it is like a 2-second job for them. And same with, I've got a cupboard that's got school supplies in, and they know where they can find extra books and extra pens and pencils and, everything they would need. They don't have to come and ask me because it's got that set place. And if you have that set up in your home, it makes such a difference. But I would like to go back to what you said before. If you'd done the work when your kids were little, I did do the work when my kids were little, even though at that point, even before the KonMari method, it was the teacher in me. I'd trained as a teacher originally, and I was a music teacher. So I used to do fun tidy up games in the evening where, as long as it all got thrown in a basket, I didn't care where it was going. I just wanted my husband and I to have a clear living room for the evening. And I'd put a song on and we had till the end of the song to tidy up. And if I shouted, tidy up time, the kids would come running and they'd know. And then we'd have quick dance and we'd all stop and dance in the middle and then tidy up, and they'd get back to tidying up. And by the end of the song, we had a reset. It wasn't perfect, but they got used to the fact that every evening they were going to help put stuff away. Fast forward to now, and I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. My living space, my kitchen, my dining room, my living room, which is all open plan in our home, it looks tidy the whole time. Because anything that's lying around, we do a 10-minute reset each evening. Everyone just remembers before they go to bed to pick up their stuff and take it back or put it back to where it should be. Sorted. Their bedrooms, oh my goodness. I am so glad they have doors I can close. It has not. They can do it if they want to. And they prove that to me when suddenly a friend's coming to stay over and suddenly there's this mad tidy up and they can clean and it's all amazing and they do know where the stuff goes back to. But my eldest daughter at the moment doesn't use the wardrobe. She doesn't even put it on the back of a chair. She doesn't have a chair robe. She has a floor robe. All of the clothes are in one big mound on the floor because she says it's easier in the morning. She gets up at 6 a.m. It's easier to stand over a pile and pull out what she needs than have to open doors and go through it. So I'm hoping it's a phase. But you can do what you like when they're little. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work. And my middle child has ADHD. She really struggles with organization. And I've had to learn to back off there because it's her space. And she gets incredibly stressed if we try to impart our idea of organization on her. So we have to leave it to some extent, and she has to clean the floor every weekend and hoover it, vacuum it. You can tell I'm British, can't you? Hoover it, vacuum it. And and that's her responsibility. But as I say, I can shut the door, and my priority is that if someone was to come around, it looks tidy. It's not clean, but it's tidy, and I feel calm, and that's the main thing. I feel calm in my living space, and I can ignore what the kids are doing in their rooms.
And that to me is it right there. I mean, I agree with that. I agree with it doesn't matter so much what's going on in my kids' rooms. I mean, I will once a week say, or whatever, to say, we have to clean up. One of my kids is actually really good at it. They're actually one becoming better at it, teenage boys. But what I hear in that is that you're really suggesting that we chill out on trying to be too perfectionistic around our kids and what they're doing, and really focus on the heart of the home, which is the areas that we share, which is the areas that we come up in. So for me, like, just also because of my empathic listeners, or, we're very sensitive to like vibration and things like that. And so when everything is clear, and for instance, also there's no dust, right? When things are just like heavily dusty, even just something simple like that. Like, you don't realize it until you clean it, that afterwards you're like, oh my God, this space feels so much better. Like, I wasn't even seeing dust, but it feels so much better in here,
Yeah.
I hear this system you're saying is a way that you must be simplifying it. And I know you're habit stacking too, right? That's one of the ways in which you're looking at it, is like creating habits.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about how do we go from being wherever we're at now, right?
Yeah.
And what does it look like to make a difference in it, to feel like we've got wins?
It is something that I think what you said before is key. And that is, we need to let go of this perfectionism, full stop. And we need to understand that I, for example, have got a level of tidiness and cleanliness that for me in my home is good enough. If it gets worse than that, I'm going to start feeling overwhelmed and stressed. But I've worked out what I can live with, and I'm not going to kill myself to make it better than that. That's fine. I have got clients who, when I walk into their homes, I think, and I'm here because it looks tidier and cleaner than my home.
Oh, wow.
But their level of overwhelm is at a different place to mine. And they are so off kilter, because when you open a drawer, it's not exactly how they imagine it to be. They haven't worked out how to categorize things and store things, and they want the boxes in drawers. They know that for their mind and their stress levels, it's just going to really help them. And that's why I'm there, because they have noticed that they're not okay living like they are. It would be fine for me. I would manage absolutely fine in that environment. But for other people, it's not okay. And your level will be different to mine again. So you really have to work out, okay, what am I prepared to live with? What am I going to say to the family? This is the level at which I need it to be in order for me to be feeling calm and to be the best version of myself and be able to show up for you in a way that isn't overwhelmed and that is supportive. And that was the difference I found for me. And that's what my daughter had noticed. And I have got so many people in my online membership who are still working towards reaching that level at which they feel comfortable. And the way we do this is we start off by saying, okay, let's take the pressure off. This does not have to be something that is going to take us hours every weekend, because that in itself is an overwhelming thought. We're going to say, okay, what is my goal for this week? What is it I'm hoping that by the end of the week, I'm going to achieve? So maybe it is, I'm going to have gone through all the tops in my closet. Everything that I wear on my top half, I'm going to have gone through those by the end of the week, decluttered, organized, put them back in a way that when I open my closet in the morning, I just go, oh, they all fit me. I love all the colors. It all feels great. That feeling. And then we look at, okay, how much time can we put into that each day? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Can I take out 2 tops and look at them and make a decision each week? Or could I perhaps set a timer for 10 minutes? And if at the end of 10 minutes, I'm still feeling okay and not overwhelmed, I'll keep going. And also then if you really struggle with decluttering and organizing, and it's something that I used to find really difficult to motivate myself to do because I am not a naturally organized person at all. I would pair it up with something that you enjoy doing. So if you like listening to podcasts, put a podcast in your ears and have something that you enjoy while you're doing the job. So it doesn't feel like so much of a punishment. I have to declutter my clothes. I have clients who, and I do this as well, I've got certain episodes on Netflix that I don't need to really concentrate on, but it's great to have them there and I can sort of have half an eye on it and be listening. And I feel like I'm getting a bit of downtime while I'm doing it. And I've started doing that while I'm cooking as well, because I'm not someone that I love cooking, but I always see it as a bit of a chore because you and I with our online businesses, there's always something else we could be doing. And I feel like I'm missing out on time for learning and furthering my business. So I'll put on modules from courses while I'm cooking and feel like, okay, well, I'm doing something here that I want to be doing at the same time. And that really helps. And really starting with small mini amounts of time. If you find you're doing okay, then say, right, I'll carry on. Or say to yourself, right, that was great today. I'll try adding another 5 minutes tomorrow. And so that by the end of the week, you have reached your goal. And that works really well. So in my membership, we have a main goal for the month because everyone's working on something different. There's no point me saying we're all going to do kitchens in June. Some people have already done their kitchens. They're going to find that really boring. So everyone sets their own goal and then we break it down into weekly smaller goals. And we try to habit stack it so that we're thinking, okay, what do I need to do? Is there a specific time of day that's better for me? Or do I need to find something that I'm doing while I'm doing it? Another great one is having your friend on the phone and just have your weekly chat while you're going through stuff. You don't need to necessarily be really focusing if you're doing a category that isn't sentimental things is different. You need to be focused there. But if you're sorting out stationery and you're getting all the pens and checking if they work because there's no point in putting ones back, then have a chat with a friend while you're doing it. And that really helps.
I love that. You know what? I don't think I realized that I was doing that because I have found that so I'm horrible at keeping up with the laundry in terms of I'm just really busy with everything. I have my current job that I have in terms of seeing clients in person. And then I have the online business that I'm starting to create. And so I work a and I love it. So it's exciting. However, these things I'm watching pile up as the week goes on. But what I am doing that you just said that I really do love is I have particular shows I hold off on for laundry. So when I have to fold laundry, I know I'm like, oh, I get to watch the show. But I start to crave it. I start to want it versus like, I had to fold the freaking laundry. I don't want to do that. And so, especially the way that my brain works, like I'm looking for the shiny stuff and that's very shiny. But I love what you're saying in terms of like, really, how can you build this into your life in ways that entertain you, that give you an outlet in some way, or even you utilize the time in a way that needs you.
Yeah. And going back to what you said initially about this idea of like even the layer of dust, if you're really emotionally sensitive, that is going to really disturb you without you even realizing that it's disturbing your vibration. I personally am not someone who likes a really minimalist space, but I have a lot less things out than I used to before the KonMari method. I do still have ornaments and decorations and things around because I like that look in my space, but it's quick to clean now. I can easily wipe round. I can do quite a stretch, pick one thing up, go under it and carry on. And my kitchen, There's virtually nothing out on the work surfaces apart from a couple of large appliances, a little tray that's got the oils on next to the stove, and a thing that's got all the utensils in that I need for cooking on the stove. And that's it. So that, that pile of paperwork that used to be on the side in the kitchen, which most houses have because everyone comes in and dumps stuff on the side in the kitchen, that doesn't exist anymore. It hadn't done for years because we have a system now that when post comes in, it has a place it goes to, and everyone knows that. And so you can find ways to make life easier and quicker. And part of visualizing my ideal lifestyle, and this is really serious for me, was for cleaning to be quick and easy, because I really don't like it. I've got better things to do than clean. If I could pay a cleaner, I would. I haven't got that far yet, but I will at some point. This is one of my
reaching goals.
Reach my goals. So I have kids though, so that's okay, thankfully. But for me, that was really important. And we have a dog and 2 cats, and I have 3 kids, and I don't know why, but when we bought the house, they were there. The whole of the ground floor is white tile. So you see every hair, every bit of dust, and I don't like that. That really disturbs my vibration. I get really I don't want anyone coming around. I mean, at the moment, the dog's molting, and it's just like this layer of hair across the floor the whole time. It's horrible. Yeah. So I bought myself not 1, but 2 robot vacuums, and I set them off in the morning. And if necessary, I'll set them off in the afternoon, and I don't have to do that job anymore. So that, find ways to make life easier for yourself so that you can live your ideal lifestyle. And I've managed that to some extent. I haven't quite got the cleaner bit yet, but the robot vacuums were one of the best things for me that I've ever invested in, because it takes so much of my time up if I have to vacuum myself.
My son really wants a robot. He's been talking about it for years, but maybe I should consider it.
It's quite fun. It is quite fun.
I have 2 dogs, so I thought, they'll be a little freaked out. But, we are talking a lot about kids. So I will say that when I talk about this with my clients or in classes and such, when people are like, I really want my home to feel better. And I do a lot of boundary work with my clients. So we're talking a lot about how do I set boundaries within that home, even to help me to get people to do more and to show up differently. And one of the biggest complaints that I'm always hearing is, okay, I got my brain on board, I got myself on board, and I'm doing the things. I mean, I do still have clients that are like, Michelle, I really seriously, I have a very hard time bending over and picking it up. I just keep dropping my clothes on the floor. I can't get myself to do that. And so we talk about, the boundaries that we have with ourselves to show up and do the things we want to do. But with the kiddos, it's hard. Like my teenagers, they'll use something and they'll throw it on the counter versus even put it in the sink. It's like, it's literally 5 inches. Can you move it 5 inches into the sink? And so I wonder if having some sort of system in place, that would help for everybody. And it sounds like you're saying your kids will pick up on the system in the home, maybe not in their bedrooms, but your kids will pick up on the system. You have to remind them throughout the day?
For some things, yes. Some things have sort of been trained into them over time. So, you get up from the table, you take your stuff through and you put it in the dishwasher. It doesn't always land in the dishwasher. We can see the kitchen from our dining room table, and my husband and I will be sitting there, and my husband will go, the dishwasher's empty, because he can see they're going to put it down. Like they're hoping it's full and it's clean and it needs emptying. And they do need reminders. It's got really good with them coming in. They've got a place that they put their shoes, their coat, their school bag. If it's winter, there's a drawer. They've got their box in there for their hat, gloves and scarves and all the rest of it. Whatever age they are of my 3, they've all got really good at doing that. So
they all have their own place for their own stuff.
Yeah.
It's not shared.
Well, it is shared in that we've got a large shoe cupboard, but they know that's my shelf. That's where my shoes go back to. And then also not having all the shoes for all seasons in that space. We only have in winter the shoes that we're going to be wearing in winter there. All the summer ones are packed away in a box and in the basement because we're not going to need them. So we don't need them cluttering up the space. And we're quite minimal. Like I pretty much all winter only wore my Doc Marten boots, and they match with everything I've discovered. If I imagine that they do, and
I visualize it works.
I visualize it, yeah. Oh, they match everything. So we don't have loads of pairs of shoes each, but we've all got enough space to store those ones that we are using for the current season, and we know that's where ours are going to go back to. And I even have a little freestanding shoe rack so that when their friends come round, they can put their shoes on there. My kids will go, "Oh, you can put your shoes on there," as they come in if they've not been before. And then the next time they come, they do it because my kids are training them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
They do take on responsibility. I've had times recently where I've been super busy and had emergency appointments where I've had to suddenly leave the house. And I've come home and my eldest, 17, has emptied the dishwasher, put everything away, and she's cooked dinner. And you just without being asked. She's like, so they do think they can do it. I wouldn't say they do it every day, and they are absolutely not perfect. And yes, we do sometimes have to remind them. Or what I used to do, and I still do now, especially for my daughter with ADHD, because she just can't remember, bless her. She will try, she wants to, and she's very frustrated with herself that she doesn't. But if she does leave something lying around, I will just go up to her room and just very gently say, "Oh, by the way, next time you're downstairs, could you just put that thing away for me?" And then she'll forget by the time she comes downstairs, it's gone again. So I'll say, "Oh, don't forget there was that thing." And then she'll do it. I've made a point of not tidying up after them. Because if I do that, they're never going to do it. So
what happens is when you do that, this is, I had an episode, a podcast episode on shadow work. And one of the things I talk about in that is my own shadow part called Rageful Rita. And Rageful Rita comes out when I clean. And it is a part of me that gets rageful and angry when I clean because I feel like nobody else is doing anything. I am so angry and frustrated, and nobody else cleans and nobody else does anything. And I'm a big victim. And here I am cleaning up after everybody for the next hour, pissed off. And I'm like, oh, okay. I need to look at that, right? I need to say, okay, I'm actually the person creating this issue because I'm doing this cleaning, this crazy, mad cleaning after everybody versus asking for help, getting other people involved, doing the things you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There's a lot of us that do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a system with our laundry, for example, that when it comes off the drying rack or out of the dryer and gets put in the laundry basket, we take it upstairs. We dump it on our bed, so not folded. And I will go to each of the kids and say, the laundry's on my bed. And they will come and collect their stuff and take it to their room. And my husband is really nice. He will very often sort it and fold it into piles for them to come and collect. I don't. He's obviously got more time than me. But he didn't used to either. I mean, the amount of times in the past I have said to him, and this is the same for all relationships, I'm sure at some point, could you not just do the laundry or the tidying the kitchen without me having to ask? And it's like, I'm happy to help, but you need to remind me. And I was like, why? I'm not your mother. And I don't want to have to think about everything. I would love for you to think for yourself sometimes and see that something needs to be doing. And he said, well, I just need that reminder. I don't see it like you do. So I was like, okay, I didn't realize that. So I started saying, could you please do the laundry? And I didn't like having to ask, but he quite happily did it if I did. And he's now got into the habit where he does it without me even having to ask. And he cleans the kitchen every evening within an inch of its life. I cannot remember the last time having cooked a meal, I put things away, because very often I'll come down to my office straight after dinner because I do a lot of stuff with people in America and I'm online because that's your time for doing stuff. And he just takes over and that's become his thing, which is great. So we do share things, but you do need to ask. You do need to, but it's how you ask as well. And that took me some practice to get that right.
Yeah. And so, what I'm hearing right now is that you're giving us permission as you're talking about this. You're giving us to visualize this home as one thing, to make it happen as another. We can't necessarily do it by ourselves. If you're within a family unit, right? If you're single and you're by yourself, then sure, you can do it by yourself. But as a person, it's a lot to ask of yourself to take it all on by yourself and to include people in your family and just to get that permission from you to hear it. And there are certainly people's husbands who won't respond the same way. And there are certainly people's kids who will give them a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And so to that, I just want to say one of the things you talked about is just like the patience and the trying to not be perfectionistic. So we're not getting in a place of negativity all the time, like, getting on people all the time. But I just love how you just gave everybody a lot of permission that it is actually important to, I'm going to say well-being, that you ask other people to step up and do the work. And even if there's resistance, you're saying, let's try to be pliable about how we show up and do the ask a little differently. And maybe somebody needs us to ask when we don't want to have to ask. Because a lot of us are going to relate to what you just said. A lot of us are like, why do I need, I'm not your mother, right? Yeah. To our partners, right? Why should I need to ask? Go set a reminder on your phone, please. Like, right, this is your job, not mine. And of course, we have that sort of in our cultures that, us women are going to be taking all of it on. And it is somehow seen as our responsibility, even when we have very forward-thinking partners. One of the things you also talked about is just accepting our situation. And we kind of already touched upon this, but maybe a good place to end on is just, or can we just heal that guilt around it all, that we experience around imperfectionism, people seeing that we have a messy house, or just the pressure we have on ourselves. You know what I mean? That internal pressure when we walk in the house and it's not perfect, that we feel somehow not as good, or that we're less than because we can't make it all happen all the time. We can't keep it all together all the time.
Yeah. I mean, and this is certainly how I used to feel. It's definitely how a lot of members of my online community feel. It's like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just keep my house tidy? Mm-hmm. But if we haven't been taught these skills as a child, it is really hard as an adult to know what the best way to tackle something is. And I always use the example that I would never give my car keys to my 11-year-old and say, there are the car keys, off you go. Go drive the car. I mean, he would be sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what pedals to press. I don't, where does the key go? All the rest of it. And it's the same with tidying. We need to show them. We need to role model them. We need to support them in, this is how you can do this, or this is how I do it. There's probably other ways, but this is the way I do it. Would you like me to show you? And gently get people on board. I mean, I've taught my kids to use the washing machine. Again, I wouldn't have just sent them down as I put the washing on. I needed to show them, first of all, how to open the door. That was the first time. The second time I showed them how to put the stuff in. That was that. And then each time the next step, until eventually you notice that they're confident enough that they could do it without you. And I think with kids especially, doing the tidying with them, or as a family doing the tidying, like get everyone together and say, right, this evening, could we all just spend 10 minutes together getting this reset? Could everyone just take whatever they see as theirs and put it back where it came from? And that's a first step. And if you start to do that each evening, and a lot of my clients have now built this into their day, and people in my membership as well. In fact, someone sent me a lovely list yesterday that she had written out for her family to get them all ready to go away on holiday, so that it was like a whole family effort for packing and tidying up before they went. Like, we're going to work through this during the week. If you do that and make it a habit that for 10 minutes, guys, stop scrolling on your phones for 10 minutes and just come and help me put these things back where they should be. That's one step towards it. And the second step is to be kind with ourselves, that there is not something flawed with us because we find this difficult. It is just a skill or a habit that we haven't yet conquered. But it's really easy with support and with making it a priority to do that. And it's a bit like anything. You start a diet and you think after 2 days, well, I don't look any different. I haven't lost any weight. I might as well not bother. I'll give up. Had we kept on that diet for another 2 weeks, then we'd have seen a difference. Then we'd have noticed that things are starting to get looser. But we tend to give up too quickly because we don't see instant results. And I feel tidying your home is very much like that as well. It's not going to be an instant gratification thing. It's something that needs a bit of work over time. And you will start to realize that you are building the habits that mean you can stay on top of it. And that's when you start to feel like you're getting in control of it.
Yeah. And, I want to just highlight what you just said, that a lot of us didn't grow up in that environment, or we didn't grow up with learning how to do that. And then maybe we lived in homes with parents who were obsessive about cleaning, but what we witnessed was a lot of anxiety and chaos in it, so we would repel that, right? Growing up, I'm not going to be like my mother. She was crazy at home. Every time I saw her, she was telling me something to do. Probably all of us. I mean, that we can learn how to do this in a way that feels good and joyful versus anxiety-stricken and guilty. But what I also hear in it is that if we can ourselves understand this is not a flaw, that in some way we just we weren't taught how to live this way so that it was as easy as breathing, right? That we learned this is just what we do. This isn't any other way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
So what people need is you. And so we need that parent to teach us that. And if we haven't had that in a way that's right. So let's talk about how people can work with you. So let's talk about how people can work with you, because I think there's going to be a lot of listeners out there that are like, yes, I want that. And I want it to feel easy. And I want to feel, even though I'm ADD, or even though I'm overwhelmed, or even though, of 1,000 things I could think of, I can actually just have this be easy in my life. I think we need to be reparented.
No, right?
Definitely. So how do people find you, work with you? What would that look like?
A really good place to start is my podcast, because every week there's great topics and great guests, and I think people find it quite motivating for their decluttering and organizing journeys. So you can find that. It's called Living Clutter Free Forever. You can find that wherever you listen to your podcast, or also on my website, which is caroline-thor.com. And there you can find everything that I have on offer.
And you had something that I'm going to link in the show notes. Did you say you had something you were giving away for free that people could kind of...
Yes, I have a beautiful guide on how to visualize your ideal lifestyle that I've put together.
I love it.
Yeah. And that is for the KonMari method, it's the place to start. And it really will get you thinking about, how do I want to live? How can my home support me? Because unless you know what your goal is, you're not going to know how you need to declutter and organize your home in order to support that. It's like going on holiday without actually knowing what your destination is going to be when you get to the airport. It's a little tricky. So I would love to offer anyone listening that guide. And as you say, the link can be in the show notes for that.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you for joining me and talking about this today. I think that there's definitely some people that feel like maybe a door just opened, that they can shift a little bit and feel better, in their lives, changing this one thing,
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for listening to Into the Work Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. Don't forget to grab your free gift, your Shadow Work Transformation Bundle at michellepoverman.com. I've included everything you need to get started to break through the patterns of self-sabotage and finally start to heal the parts of yourself that are getting in the way of truly reaching your potential. From a powerful meditation designed to help you meet and embrace your shadow self, to the guide that's full of curated prompts and important questions to support you on this journey. This really can be the work for you to unmask the root cause of all the issues you've been experiencing, honestly, and start to feel free to believe in yourself and go for what you want. The link for this free bundle is in the show notes. And if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment and rate, click and follow, and leave a review. Of course, you can always follow me on socials at Michelle Poverman. And keep in mind, as you embark on your journey from spark to brilliance, remember, the universe is always conspiring in favor of your awakening. Everything that's happening is in support of you lighting your own fire within. So until we meet again, may your path be well lit and your heart be guided. Shine bright, seekers, until next time.